why you should watch film on your opponent. This goes for both amateurs and pros, but I know pros already kind of do it, or I hope they all do it, because why would you leave that huge advantage on the table? But anyway, especially as an amateur as well, because assuming you have the luxury of seeing film on your opponent, you literally have an advantage over them. Because I feel like most amateurs don't do this. Most amateurs, I don't know if it's like a old school way of thinking, but a lot of amateurs like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna watch. They'll say I won't watch film on my opponent because it's gonna psych me out, or it's gonna freak me out. It's gonna make me nervous, or that's stupid, man. Like, why would you not want to know what you're up against? Like, I know they're not gonna fight exactly like that, but they're gonna fight very similar. Unless you're just dealing with like a national champion, then they might be able to switch it up a little bit. But even then, like, they're gonna show their cards for sure. Like, they're gonna show their strong suits and their weaknesses and their tendencies. So if you have the luxury of finding film on whoever you're about to fight as an amateur, I highly recommend you watch that shit. Highly recommend you watch it, because I know unless, with the exception, if like, well, there's an exception to every rule. If you have less than like if it's your first fight, okay, you probably don't need to watch it. If it's like if it's one of your first 3 fights and you're like very timid and very like nervous, like, okay, maybe I could see that backfiring. But once you've had like at least 5 fights, once you've had 5-10 fights, like, you should be comfortable enough to see what you're about to face. So with that being said, assuming you have at least 5 to 10 fights, I highly recommend watching and film on your opponent and just studying, man. You gotta study, so you know what to expect. Because if you don't know what to expect, then you need to get caught off guard, obviously. So watch film on your opponent, and just watch what they do. Watch you're gonna see patterns. You're gonna see what works against them. You're gonna see what doesn't work against them. You're gonna see what their strong suits are. You're gonna see what their drawbacks are. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but you're gonna see what they're good at and what they're bad at and what they're bad against. If you have the luxury of finding like a film where he loses the fight, or like film where like there's gonna be moments, even in the fights that these people win, there's gonna be moments where they don't look good. And those moments where like they're getting hit, or moments where they're being put against the ropes from the corner, those moments are gonna be your key resources, or your key it's gonna be your secrets to basically to figure out to crack their code, to figure out what does it take to beat this guy. And basically you're gonna see a lot of things that they do good, you're gonna see a lot of things that they do bad. And don't focus so much on the good as much as you focus on the bad, because everyone makes mistakes. Every fighter makes mistakes. No matter how good they are, every fighter is bound to make mistakes. So capitalize on those mistakes, and come fight night, you're gonna be ready, because you're gonna know exactly what mistakes they do. Like, maybe, again, don't expect it to be word for word the same, obviously, but it's gonna be very similar. So when you're watching this film, try to look for little things like, okay, he drops his right hand when he throws the jab, or he drops his left hand when he throws the right hand, or after he feints, he does this, or right before he throws a punch, he does this. So you're gonna know basically their every move. I mean, not literally, obviously, but you're going to know more or less what to expect. And if you know what to expect, you already have a huge advantage over them, because keep in mind, as amateurs, I feel like, I don't know this for sure, but I feel like most boxers don't take the time to study their opponents. When I was at the Nationals, and I've been to many national tournaments, by the way, I would always watch film on my opponents, especially like the top guys that I would fight. Like especially if they're in the top 10 rankings, like they're definitely gonna have some film somewhere. Whether it's their IG, check their IG, check Google, check YouTube, check everything, man. Because there's gonna bound to be film out. If they're any good, there's bound to be film out there. If you're fighting somebody that's a lot less experienced, then yeah, it's probably gonna be a little bit harder to find. And obviously the more recent the film is, the better. And you're not always gonna have this luxury. So in the case or in the event that you can't find actual film, then the next best thing would be to stalk their Instagram and just watch how they hit the heavy bag, watch how they hit the mitts, watch how they move, watch how they shadow box. Kind of just study like what they do or what they might do, come fight night. Because again, this game, there's not a strongman sport. There's not like a sport of who's the fastest or who's the most athletic. This is the sport of who's the smartest. This is the game of chess, except instead of moving pieces on a board, you're moving punches in a ring. So boxing is just like chess in that way. You're trying to take every little advantage that you can and make every move as careful as possible, because one wrong move could end the whole fight, arguably your whole life. But I'm not gonna take it that far. Like every little advantage that you can get in boxing, inside and outside the ring, take it, because again, this is a life or death sport. And every advantage that you can have over your opponent is a win in my book. So if you can't be smarter than them inside the ring, at least be smarter than them outside the ring. With film study, with your nutrition, your dieting, your the efficiency behind like how you do your workouts. But anyway, that's a whole other topic. Make sure you watch the film. And how much should you watch it? Let's say you find out you're fighting some dude 1 week before you're about to fight. Every night before bed, just watch it one time, maybe twice. Watch it and then just study. Just look at like me personally, I would watch, especially if I only have 1 week, I would watch it probably like 2 or 3 times. But just watch the fight, watch what they do. What do they do when someone throws a jab at them? What do they do when someone throws a 1-2 at them? What do they do when they get overwhelmed? What do they do when they're on the outside? What do they do when they're on the inside? How do they react to these punches? Like, how do they react to feints? So, like, basically, it's like you fought them already without even fighting them. So, with that data, what that's going to do, that's going to create an advantage for you to where you can basically have a decent understanding of what you're about to face. And that's a whole lot better than trying to find out as it's happening. Because, obviously you can still win fights like that too. But you're probably going to get hit a lot more than, like, if you knew what to expect beforehand. Obviously, if you can have the luxury of knowing, like, seeing beforehand before it actually even happens, you're just going to be in a much better position, both mentally and physically. It's also a lot for your mental too. So once you do that film study and watch it over and over again until you can see, like, you're going to notice, at least for me, that's what I've noticed, when I watch something multiple times, every time I watch it again, I see something different. It could be the tiniest thing, but over time, you're going to build this collection of data in your head, if you're doing it right, and you're going to have, like, kind of not an image, but like you're gonna know their tendencies. You're gonna know what they usually do and what they're probably gonna look like. And once you have that data, after you watch the film, I want you to close your eyes and just visualize yourself trying different things, trying different strategies, different punches, different feints. And once you play that back in your head, you can actually have a visual of like, okay, I know he's gonna do this, so I'm gonna do that. So like play it out in your head, like kind of like a scenario. Okay, this is what he usually does, so I'm gonna try this, and then I'm gonna feint with this, and then I'm gonna counter. Visualize that in your head. So once you did it in your head, come fight night, you did it already. Like, well, of course you're gonna be able to do it a lot easier come fight night because you've done this before. You've been there before. You've seen this guy before, even though you literally haven't. Um, like just by seeing video and film on it, I know that's the same thing, but just by having that film in your head, you're going to be at a huge advantage. Even if it's someone that has more experience than you, just have it. Cause I'm telling you, like most amateurs don't do this. Most. Um, I think most pros do, but most amateurs don't. A lot of it's because like there's not as much film on amateurs as there is for pros. I could be wrong, but in pros you usually definitely always find some kind of film. But as an amateur, it might be a little bit more tough. Watch the film, um, find their patterns, find their tendencies, find what they do, and what to you know what to expect. Once you have that data, lock it in. Close your eyes, visualize yourself fighting that person, and trying certain things against that person that you already know what to expect because you watched the film. So practice multiple scenarios that you think might work. You know, touch base with your coach, obviously, and tell, hey coach, like I seen this, I seen that, I seen he usually does this. So what if we try this? You know, compare notes with your coach because they're your coach, obviously. And be like, hey coach, I noticed he does this when they throw the jab. So should I do this? And they're gonna tell you like, yeah, do that, obviously, or no, don't try to do this. So film study, that's your unfair advantage. Be smarter than them both inside and outside the ring. That's all I got.